So what more is there to say about the Oceangate disaster that hasn't already been said? There is something that this tragic event highlights that I thought I would discuss that falls a bit outside the usual fare. What I would like to wax philosophic about, though, is how this accident and the investigation into the culture at Oceangate highlights a significant problem with workplace safety initiatives on a wider scale. Up until the accident, if you watched press releases or read company statements, the impression you may have come away with is that this organization had built itself on intrinsically safe operational practices, rigorous safety testing procedures, and so many fail-safes both procedurally and technically that they were prepared for and expected failures and have overplanned accordingly.
And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody, and it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and super durable. We keep a couple of spares on board just in case.
Oceangate and many other organizations use safety to sell without being fully invested in the endeavor. People generally would like to survive the experiences they face and be unharmed. What they were selling was something that was basically brand new. The issue to selling tickets would be the relatively well-known and intrinsic danger of death involved in the endeavor. This was the challenge of Oceangate's business model. It's for this reason that companies, nearly from their onset, begin building what I call safety capital, especially when there is an inherent amount of danger associated with what they're selling. First, they partnered with Boeing. The study was effectively discarded, but the fact that they worked with Boeing was still heavily touted to borrow safety capital from the more established company. They also worked with the University of Washington's Applied Physics Lab. Again, though, Oceangate borrowed more safety capital from another organization. The broad result was a spectacular tendency to ignore the advice of those experts, ignore the data collected internally and by those organizations, and the deaths of 5 people. And also keep in mind that the Titan sub and the company as a whole was in fact a lot of people's workplace.
It is your right to demand to get information on something where you are putting yourself at risk. And it's to basically mitigate, potential for disaster.
Move fast and break stuff is great when it comes to creating new paradigms and innovating tech solutions to common problems, but when it comes to life and health, trust the data, trust the standards.
I'm never happy with any of the decisions that were potentially going into this project. That was pre and post manufacture of what was getting done.
And ignoring shocking signs of vehicle failure became the norm.